Human, you've been assigned a lover, and it's me. Alien smiled. Humans were valued in the Union, but mostly for their unpredictability. Aliens in every corner of the galaxy found humans difficult, and that apparently made humans useful. Today, Elias was walking down the long corridors of the Union's administrative station, a massive orbiting structure that looked like a floating crystal city. He carried his tablet under one arm, his eyes scanning lists of notifications. His morning had been normal, filled with reports and minor errors from alien systems. He barely noticed the soft hum of the station or the glowing lights along the walls. That is, until the announcement appeared on his tablet. Elias Moore, report immediately to room 42B for official assignment notification. That was strange. Usually, notifications for humans were performance reviews, or rarely, error investigations. He frowned. Official assignment notification sounded more permanent. As he walked, he noticed other humans whispering among themselves. "They're assigning partners today," one whispered. "I heard about it. Some humans already got bonded." Elias raised an eyebrow. Bonded? Humans didn't bond like the aliens. In the Galactic Union, some species had a permanent life partner assigned by algorithms when they were very young. It was considered perfect compatibility. Most species never questioned it. Humans, however, were famously difficult. When he reached room 42B, he saw a figure standing calmly near the center. It was tall, taller than any human by several heads, with shimmering blue skin that reflected the lights. Its large eyes were golden, and its hands ended in delicate fingers that seemed to float rather than grasp. "Elias Moore," the figure said in a soft, musical voice. "I am Saraketh. You have been assigned a bonded partner." Elias froze. "Wait, what?" Saraketh's lips, or whatever could be called lips, curved into a small, serene smile. "Human, you have been assigned a lover. It is me." For a moment the world seemed to stop. Elias blinked. You're joking." Saraketh's expression did not change. "The Galactic Union does not joke about bonding assignments." Elias rubbed his eyes. "Assigned lover, like for life." "Yes," Saraketh replied calmly. "This is permanent. You will bond. You will share responsibilities, emotional, physical, and social." Elias leaned back against the wall, trying to process. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't even know humans could be bonded like this." Saraketh tilted its head slightly. "Humans are considered emotionally volatile. This program is intended to provide stability and predictability. Your species will benefit from bonding." Elias felt his pulse quicken. Humans thrived on choice, on freedom. Aliens thought humans were unstable because humans made decisions based on feelings rather than logic. And now some glowing alien was telling him that his entire emotional life had been predecided. He wanted to laugh, but it came out as a nervous chuckle. "You can't just assign a human a lover. That's not how we work." Saraketh's smile did not fade. "This is how the program works. Resistance is expected, but compliance will be required." Elias shook his head. I can't, I won't. I choose my relationships. Love isn't an algorithm." Saraketh seemed to tilt its head further, intrigued. "You speak of love as if it is a choice. Explain." Elias swallowed hard, feeling both nervous and oddly exhilarated. "Love, it's not just convenience or biology or compatibility. It's choice. It's risk. It's chaos, honestly. You can't calculate it and you can't force it. You feel it or you don't. And you accept that other humans will feel differently. You take a chance every time." Saraketh's golden eyes studied him. For a long moment there was silence in the room except for the faint hum of the station. Finally, Saraketh spoke. "Interesting, your species defies predictability." Elias couldn't help but smirk. "That's called being human," the alien nodded. "Then you will resist bonding, yes." "Yes." Elias' voice was firm now, even though his heart raced. "I refuse." Saraketh's smile did not falter. "This is unusual. You are the first human to refuse immediately. Usually they hesitate, debate, then comply. Your resistance is noteworthy. Elias frowned. Noteworthy? It's basic human freedom. I can't be assigned someone like property. That's not living. That's slavery of the heart. Sarakath's gaze softened slightly. Your species is unpredictable, yes, but perhaps there is wisdom in this chaos. Elias raised an eyebrow. You just admitted humans might be smart, because we refuse to follow a program you designed. Perhaps, Sarakath said simply. Elias laughed, a mixture of relief and frustration. You're not making this easy. The alien tilted its head again. Making it easy is not my purpose. My purpose is observation and integration, but you are curious. Elias paused. Curious. Yes, you do not accept blindly. You question, you joke. You resist authority without destruction. That is rare. Elias couldn't help but chuckle again. He felt a spark of pride. Humans were constantly underestimated by the galaxy, and now here was an alien acknowledging it. So what happens now? Do I report my refusal somewhere? Sarakath's eyes shimmered faintly. Your refusal will be noted. You will be monitored. Perhaps adaptation will occur. Elias groaned. Adaptation? You mean force me? No, Sarakath said, and its voice carried a strange, soft humor. Force implies threat. You are interesting, human. Threat is unnecessary. Elias blinked. Interesting? You call this interesting? My entire emotional life has been hijacked and you call it interesting. Yes, Sarakath said simply, I am learning. Elias shook his head, laughing despite himself. I don't know if I should be scared or amused. Sarakath's smile widened very slightly. Both are acceptable human responses. You amuse me. Elias froze. Wait, what? You read correctly, Sarakath said. Your defiance, your argument, your unpredictability, it is pleasing. I did not expect this reaction. I enjoy observing it. Elias blinked. His first thought was, did that alien just flirt with me? He shook his head, trying to clear the absurdity. But then he realized he didn't feel anger or fear. He felt curiosity. Okay, Elias said slowly. So, I'm assigned a partner I don't want. You think I'm amusing, and somehow this is supposed to stabilize humans. Sarakath's eyes sparkled. You humans are complex. Elias sighed, leaning against the wall. He felt a strange mix of dread, intrigue, and something else, something dangerous. He was curious, and humans were always curious. The door to the room slid open suddenly, and several Union officials entered. They nodded politely to Sarakath, then turned to Elias. Mr. Moore, one said, the bonding assignment is a Union directive. Compliance is expected. You are required to report to training within the week. Elias raised his hands. I'm refusing, I've explained. Your refusal has been noted, the official interrupted. It will be recorded, but human choice is unpredictable. Your case will be reviewed. Elias turned back to Sarakath. Looks like the galaxy might be in for a long lesson in why humans are annoying. Sarakath tilted its head again. Perhaps, and perhaps, this is only the beginning of understanding your species. Elias smiled wryly. Great. I just hope the rest of the galaxy survives learning what humans are like. Sarakath's smile lingered. It was not an assignment smile or a protocol smile. It was something softer. Perhaps, it said quietly, but I am eager to see. And for the first time in his life, Elias Moore realized that being human in the galaxy was far more interesting than he had ever imagined. Outside the room, the corridor hummed with alien efficiency. Inside, two beings, one human, one alien, stood facing a future neither could predict. And somehow, both were quietly, secretly excited. Elias Moore's life, and perhaps the rules of the galaxy, had just begun to change. The days after the bonding assignment announcement were strange for Elias Moore. Every time he walked through the station, whispers followed him. Humans stared at him with a mix of admiration and disbelief. Aliens, so many aliens, watched him with curiosity. Some aliens had already accepted their bonds quietly. For them it was simple, once assigned they obeyed. Humans were different. Humans argued. Humans joked. Humans made choices. Elias was no exception. Sarakath, the alien assigned as his partner, followed him silently through the corridors of the Union Station. Its presence was not threatening, but it was constant. Elias sometimes felt like he was being studied under a microscope. "Do you ever rest?" Elias finally asked one morning as he made his way to the cafeteria. "I do not require rest as your species does," Sarakath replied calmly. Its golden eyes flicked over the corridor as other aliens passed by. "But I watch. Observation is continuous." Elias sighed and shook his head. "Watching doesn't make anyone a friend or a partner." Sarakath tilted its head slightly. "Partnering is protocol, friendship is optional, but observation often leads to understanding, perhaps emotional understanding." Elias laughed softly, though it sounded more like a bitter chuckle. "Emotional understanding. You want to understand human feelings. You barely understand biology, let alone this messy thing called love." Sarakath's smile was faint but unmistakable. "I wish to understand." "You resist. You are fascinating." "Fascinating," Elias repeated, raising an eyebrow. "I'm a human. I spill coffee on myself, forget passwords, yell at vending machines, and now I'm fascinating." "Yes," Sarakath said. "Your species expresses choices unpredictably. That is rare. The Union does not anticipate such behavior." Elias stopped walking and faced the alien. "So what, I'm just a science experiment, a human exhibit you're going to watch me for, what? Forever?" Sarakath's golden eyes softened. "Not forever, until understanding occurs." "Perhaps mutual understanding." Elias groaned. "Great, so now I have an alien shadowing me like a curious cat. What am I supposed to do? Pretend I like it?" "You may do as you please," Sarakath said. "Your choices are data." Elias shook his head and laughed. "I think humans might be the only species in the galaxy that can annoy aliens while existing normally." Sarakath tilted its head. "Annoyance is unexpected. Your species values unpredictability highly." "Unpredictability is life," Elias said firmly, "not a lab experiment." Despite his words, a small curiosity began to grow inside him. Sarakath was not like other aliens. Most of them were rigid, following protocols without question. Sarakath, however, was observing, learning, questioning. That evening, Elias returned to his quarters. He sat at his desk and stared at the small holoscreen displaying the human residential area of the station. It was quiet, too quiet. He missed the chaos of Earth, the noise, the crowds, the unpredictability. There was a soft knock on his door. "May I enter?" Sarakath asked. Elias rubbed his forehead. "Do I have a choice?" "Yes," Sarakath replied calmly. "It is your choice." He sighed and waved it in. Sarakath stepped inside, its blue skin shimmering under the soft lights. It did not sit, it merely observed. "I want to understand," Sarakath said suddenly. "Explain emotion, love. Why does your species insist on such unpredictability?" Elias leaned back in his chair. "Emotion is complicated. We feel things we can't explain. We take risks even when it hurts. We laugh when it's stupid. We cry when it's meaningless to others, and somehow we survive. We survive because we choose, not because anyone else assigns meaning." Sarakath's golden eyes focused on him. "So, love is choice?" "Yes," Elias said. "It's choosing someone even when the universe says it's illogical. It's risking rejection, heartbreak, or worse, and still saying yes. Love isn't stable. Love isn't perfect, but it's ours. It's human." Sarakath was silent for a long moment, its head tilted as if processing. "This is inefficient. Why risk instability when the Union offers perfect bonding?" Elias smiled wryly. "Because we don't live in algorithms. We live in possibility. Humans aren't just biological machines. We're unpredictable, sometimes messy, sometimes brilliant. And sometimes the chaos is beautiful." Sarakath's eyes flickered. Elias noticed a subtle shift, something almost like curiosity mixed with wonder. "Perhaps there is merit in chaos," Sarakath said softly. "Your species confounds logic, yet it persists." You thrive despite instability. Elias leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. Exactly. Humans don't just survive by following rules. We survive by thinking, by feeling, by taking risks others wouldn't dare. We adapt, we learn, we fight, we fail, and we try again. Sarakith was silent again, its gaze thoughtful. Elias wondered if the alien had ever considered failure before. Most species in the Union were flawless by design, or so they thought. Humans, humans failed all the time, and somehow that made them stronger. "Do you admire this?" Sarakith asked quietly. Elias laughed softly. "Admire, maybe, or maybe you're just realizing humans aren't predictable and that scares you." Sarakith's golden eyes seemed to shimmer. "Fear is inefficient, but curiosity is efficient." "You inspire curiosity." Elias shook his head, smiling. "Curiosity? You mean annoyance disguised as admiration?" Sarakith tilted its head. "Perhaps, but observation continues. You challenge assumptions." Elias leaned back in his chair, feeling something strange. He was not just talking to an alien. He was being heard, truly heard. And somehow that felt human. Over the next few days, Elias found himself in more unexpected situations. Sarakith followed him during meals, observing how humans ate, how they joked, how they interacted with one another. It asked questions, sometimes simple, sometimes complicated. "Why do humans smile when embarrassed?" Sarakith asked one day as Elias spilled a drink across the table. "Because embarrassment is funny sometimes," Elias replied. "And because we laugh at ourselves before others do it for us." "And why do you forgive mistakes?" Sarakith asked. "Because we know everyone fails," Elias said simply. "Even me." Sarakith paused. "Humans accept imperfection willingly." "Yes," Elias said. "We don't expect perfection. We try, we fail, we improve. That's life." The alien remained silent for a long moment. Elias wondered what it was thinking. He had begun to notice subtle changes. Sarakith's expressions, tiny shifts in posture, even the way its gaze lingered longer than necessary. The alien was learning. More than that, it was experiencing something new. One evening, while walking through the observation deck overlooking a distant star system, Sarakith finally spoke. "Human, I am unfamiliar with these sensations. Curiosity, anticipation, admiration, and something warmer." Elias looked at it curious. "Warmer?" "Yes," Sarakith replied. "I feel interest beyond observation. It is pleasant, unexpected." Elias raised an eyebrow, a small grin forming on his face. "You're saying you like me?" Sarakith's golden eyes flickered, uncharacteristically hesitant. "Perhaps I am beginning to understand what humans call attraction." Elias chuckled. "Well, congratulations. You're learning human feelings. Next lesson, patience." Sarakith's head tilted. "Patience is difficult, but I wish to continue learning." Elias shook his head in amusement. "Humans don't just survive by following rules. We survive by thinking, by feeling, by choosing, and apparently by teaching aliens to feel." Sarakith's expression softened, a tiny smile appearing again. "I observe humans and I am learning. Your species is remarkable." Elias felt a strange sense of pride. Humans were underestimated across the galaxy, yet here was an alien acknowledging their strength, their unpredictability, their beauty. As the star systems rotated slowly in the distance, Elias realized something important. Sarakith wasn't just assigned to him. Sarakith was choosing to understand, to participate, to engage with human chaos. And in that, Elias saw a glimmer of hope for friendship, for connection, and perhaps something more. For the first time since the bonding assignment, Elias Moore didn't feel trapped. He felt challenged, excited, and strangely grateful. Humans survived not because they were perfect or predictable or logical. Humans survived because they were daring enough to live, to feel, to defy expectation. And now Elias realized humans might just teach the galaxy something it had never considered. That emotion, chaos, and choice were not weaknesses. They were power. And Sarakith was about to learn that lesson firsthand. Weeks passed since Elias Moore's refusal to comply with the Galactic Union's bonding program. At first, nothing seemed to change. Aliens continued following the rules, humans continued arguing, and Sarakith continued observing Elias in silence. But slowly, subtle signs began to appear. In the data monitoring rooms, Union officials noticed anomalies. The bonding algorithms that had been flawless for centuries were showing inconsistencies. Pairings that were once perfect now hesitated, faltered, or refused compliance entirely. Impossible, one senior officer muttered, scanning the glowing display. These species should be bonded perfectly. There is no error. Yet the errors continued. The system seemed unstable, and everywhere humans were at the center of the disruption. Elias noticed the changes immediately. He walked through the corridors and saw aliens questioning their bonds. Some argued with their assigned partners, others simply paused, unsure of what to do. Humans, of course, laughed, shrugged, and carried on. Sarakith walked beside him, golden eyes reflecting concern. Human, your species is influencing others. The Union did not anticipate this. I'm not doing anything special, Elias said, shaking his head. I'm just being human. We don't accept things blindly. Sarakith's gaze was intense. Your resistance, your insistence on choice, it spreads. Others now question their bonds. The program, it is faltering. Elias smirked. Sounds like the humans are winning. The Union, however, did not see it that way. Reports of noncompliance reached the Council quickly. One official scrolled through a list of anomalies, his tentacles trembling. This is unacceptable, he said. The bonding program cannot fail. Locate Elias Moore. He is the source. Meanwhile, Elias continued his daily routines, unaware of the growing scrutiny. He walked through the training halls, helped human colleagues solve unexpected problems in alien systems, and even argued with Sarakith about proper cafeteria etiquette, a debate that drew curious glances from multiple species. Sarakith, however, was not merely observing anymore. The alien had begun choosing. Sometimes it acted before Elias asked, prepared his favorite meal, or warned him of minor dangers in the station. Elias noticed, raising an eyebrow. You're actually helping me now, Elias said one afternoon as Sarakith passed him a drink. I observe that assistance is beneficial, Sarakith said, its golden eyes flickered, and I choose to assist. Elias laughed softly. You're choosing, seriously. You're defying protocol, Sarakith's expression softened. Protocol is suggested. Observation requires participation. You inspire participation. As the Union officials closed in, Elias realized the stakes were higher than he thought. His refusal was not just a personal choice. It was shaking the foundation of the Galactic Union's social order. Humans had always been unpredictable, but no one had expected one human to cause the system to fail entirely. One evening, during a routine training session, an alert sounded across the station. The Union's central console flashed red, and alarms echoed softly through the corridors. Elias, along with Sarakith, hurried to the observation deck overlooking the main station grid. Reports indicate multiple bond failures, one officer explained, panic evident in every gesture. Several species refuse pairing. Resistance is spreading. Elias Moore, you are directly implicated. Elias raised his hands, exasperated. Me, I'm just alive. I don't control anyone else. Sarakith stepped forward, a rare firmness in its posture. Human is not solely responsible. Choice spreads naturally. Your species demonstrates the value of voluntary decision. I support this human's perspective. The officers blinked. What? I refuse to enforce a bond assigned by the Union, Sarakith said, voice calm but unyielding. I choose to act independently. Gasps echoed through the observation deck. Aliens rarely defied the bonding program. To witness an entire species' representative disobey was shocking. Elias stared at Sarakath, disbelief mixed with admiration. "You actually said that. You're risking everything." Sarakath's golden eyes met his. "I have learned. Human choice is remarkable. I support it." A murmur spread through the deck. Humans whispered among themselves, some smiling, some laughing. Aliens gaped. The bonding program was faltering because humans refused compliance, and their influence was contagious. The Union called an emergency meeting. Elias and Sarakath were summoned, standing before the council, a semicircular assembly of beings from dozens of species. Elias felt the tension in the room, yet he also felt proud. Humans had always been underestimated. Now the galaxy was watching one of them challenge the rules. "Mr. Moore," the lead officer said sternly, "you have caused disruptions in the bonding program. This is unacceptable. You are instructed to comply immediately." Elias smiled wryly. "I've already told you I won't." "And you, Sarakath," the officer continued, "as the assigned bonded partner, you are expected to enforce compliance." "I refuse to comply," Sarakath said firmly, voice echoing through the chamber. "Human choice is valid. My species will not act against it." Silence fell. Then whispers, then questions. For the first time, the council realized humans had not only refused, they had inspired others to question. Elias noticed small changes in alien behavior. Some species now hesitated before enforcing bonds. Others whispered to their partners, asking questions they had never considered. The Union's perfect system was cracking because humans refused to be predictable. The Council finally spoke. "This is unprecedented. The bonding program cannot operate if choice exists. Humans must be contained." Elias laughed softly, shaking his head. "Contain humans, good luck with that." Sarakath stepped closer to him. "Containment is impossible. Your species resists control in ways the Union cannot comprehend. I understand now. Humans are powerful." "Yes," Elias said quietly, "not because we're strong or smart, but because we choose, we fail, we try again, and sometimes we inspire others to think for themselves." Sarakath's golden eyes softened. "Then I will stand with you. Not because the program assigns me, but because I choose it." Elias' heart raced. For the first time, he saw an alien not as an authority, not as a program, but as a being capable of understanding and even defiance. He felt hope, pride, and something warmer, a connection that was neither forced nor assigned. The council, frustrated and confused, could do nothing. The bonding program was faltering. Aliens were questioning their assignments. Humans were laughing, living, and thriving. And one human, Elias Moore, had become a symbol of choice, chaos, and freedom. As the chamber emptied, Sarakath and Elias walked side by side. "What happens now?" Elias asked quietly. "Change," Sarakath replied. "The system will adapt. It must." "Humans are influential beyond expectation." Elias smiled. "Humans survive by being human. We don't follow rules blindly. We don't just exist, we live. And apparently, we teach others how to do it too." Sarakath's golden eyes lingered on him. "Your species confounds me. Yet I am eager to continue learning." Elias laughed softly. "Well, welcome to the human way. It's messy. It's unpredictable, but somehow it works." The stars outside the observation deck shone brightly. In that light, humans and aliens alike were beginning to understand something the galaxy had never truly realized. Freedom, choice, and emotion were not weaknesses. They were power. And Elias Moore, ordinary human with extraordinary defiance, had just begun to show the universe what it truly meant to live. The Galactic Union was in chaos. The bonding program, once considered flawless, had collapsed under the weight of human unpredictability. Across countless species, assigned partners hesitated, questioned, and in some cases outright refused their assigned bonds. And at the center of it all stood Elias Moore, a human who had simply insisted on choice. Union officials gathered in the main chamber, their faces pale. or the closest approximation their species had to expressions. Aliens whispered in confusion, some arguing with their own assigned partners for the first time in their lives. And humans were quietly, calmly, doing what they always did, living. Elias walked beside Serikith, who had been his assigned partner and was now his ally in defiance. The alien's blue skin shimmered softly in the chamber's light, and its golden eyes flickered with what Elias had learned to recognize as curiosity, warmth, and something deeper. "You really did it," Elias said quietly. "The program, it's broken." Serikith tilted its head. "It failed, but not because of error. It failed because humans exercise choice, and others follow that example." Elias laughed softly. "We don't just survive by following rules. We survive by thinking, by feeling, by choosing. That's human nature." Across the chamber, the council spoke again. "The bonding program has been suspended," the lead officer announced. "Humans have introduced a new protocol, voluntary bonds. No species may be forced. Choice is recognized." Whispers spread through the chamber. Some aliens appeared relieved. Others looked alarmed, struggling to understand a concept they had never experienced, freedom in emotion. Elias felt a strange pride swell in his chest. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy with weapons, logic, or technology alone. Humans had conquered it with choice, courage, and the courage to defy a perfect system. Serikith's golden eyes met his. "Your species is remarkable. Humans do not obey, yet others learn from it. I understand now. Freedom is strength." Elias smiled. "Exactly. We're not perfect, but we adapt. We survive because we care, because we risk, because we choose. That's the human way." Serikith nodded slowly. "And I choose you, not because the program assigned me, but because I want to." Elias' heart skipped a beat. The words were simple, yet they carried weight. After weeks of observation, conflict, and discussion, Serikith, the alien assigned to him, had made a choice. A real choice. "You choose me?" Elias asked softly, almost incredulously. "Yes," Serikith replied calmly, yet its tone carried warmth. "I have learned to value choice, to value connection. I choose to be with you." Elias felt a strange mix of relief, joy, and excitement. "Well, that's new and good." Serikith's expression softened further. "Your species has taught me much. Emotion, choice, unpredictability. It is fascinating and pleasant." Elias chuckled. "Pleasant, you mean enjoyable?" "Yes," Serikith said. "I enjoy it. I enjoy you." For the first time, Elias saw Serikith not as a representative of the Union, not as a program, not as an assignment, but as a being capable of feeling, choosing, and caring. And he realized something important. Humans did not just survive, they inspired. Over the next weeks, the station slowly adjusted. The Union introduced new protocols allowing species to voluntarily bond or remain independent. Some aliens were hesitant, unsure how to navigate freedom. Others embraced it eagerly, exploring relationships and connections they had never considered. And humans thrived as always, with laughter, curiosity, and the chaos that made them strong. Elias and Serikith began their own relationship, not assigned, not forced, not expected, but chosen. They spent time together exploring the station, watching distant stars and talking for hours about life, choice, and the strange beauty of unpredictability. One evening they walked across the observation deck, looking out at the swirling nebulae of a distant star cluster. Elias turned to Serikith. "You know," he said, "I never expected this. An alien choosing me. Honestly, I thought you just observe me forever and never actually care." Serikith's golden eyes flickered. "Observation has led to understanding. Understanding has led to interest, and interest has led to care." Elias laughed softly. "That's the most human thing I've ever heard you say." "You taught me," Serikith replied. "Humans teach through example, by being themselves, by choosing, by risking, by feeling." Elias smiled. "Well, we're good at that, sometimes too good, but I guess it worked." For the first time, the alien smiled openly, soft, unprogrammed, sincere. It was not a protocol smile or a procedural gesture. It was a smile of genuine warmth, connection, and choice. The galaxy, meanwhile, was beginning to change. Reports from distant stations indicated that humans had introduced a ripple effect. Aliens were questioning orders, rethinking assumptions, and exploring emotional freedom. The Union itself was learning that control was not always the strongest tool. Humans had shown that freedom, choice, and emotion were powerful forces, stronger than any algorithm. Elias and Saraketh spent long hours together, walking through the station gardens, exploring distant observation decks, and quietly challenging each other's ideas. They argued, laughed, and shared stories, learning not just about each other, but about the galaxy and its complexities. "You know," Elias said one evening, "I never thought being assigned a partner could turn out like this." Saraketh tilted its head, eyes golden in the soft light. "Nor did I. Assignment was intended to provide certainty, but uncertainty has proven more valuable." Elias smiled. "That's humans for you. We make chaos look easy." Saraketh laughed, a sound like gentle chimes, soft and musical. "Chaos is beautiful, and humans are beautiful." Elias felt a warmth spread through him. Humans were known for their unpredictability, their ability to survive, to adapt, and to inspire. And now, he realized, humans could also teach others how to feel, how to choose, and how to live freely. He reached out and gently took Saraketh's hand. The alien allowed it, their fingers intertwining in a gesture that was simple yet powerful. No algorithms dictated this moment. No protocol required it. It was a choice, made freely by two beings from different worlds. "You know," Elias said softly, "I think the galaxy might be ready to learn a lot from humans." Saraketh nodded, golden eyes reflecting distant stars. "Yes, humans show that survival is not only in strength or logic, but in choice, emotion, and courage. Your species is extraordinary." Elias smiled, squeezing the alien's hand. "Thanks, and you're learning fast, faster than any algorithm could predict." Together they stood on the observation deck, watching as stars rotated slowly in the distance. The bonding program had failed, the Union had adapted, and the galaxy had begun to see the value of freedom. But more importantly, two beings, human and alien, had chosen each other. Not because it was assigned, not because it was perfect, not because it was required, because they wanted to. And that, Elias thought, was the greatest power of all. In the quiet glow of distant nebulae, he realized the truth that humans had always known. Love is not an algorithm. Connection is not a rule. Choice is everything. And for the first time, Elias Moore felt not only human but victorious, not in war, not in conquest, but in living, feeling, and choosing freely. Saraketh squeezed his hand gently, their fingers intertwining. "Human, we continue together." Elias smiled warmly. "Yes, together. And we'll see where this human way takes us." The stars stretched endlessly before them, a galaxy full of possibilities. Humans had shown their power, not through force, not through control, but through courage, choice, and the willingness to live freely. And in that freedom, they had inspired change across countless worlds. And so, Elias Moore and Saraketh, human and alien, laughed softly together. They walked forward, hand in hand, stepping into a galaxy that had never been prepared for the unpredictability of humanity. And yet, somehow, the galaxy was better for it. The future was uncertain. It was chaotic. It was human.